Good evening, my friends. Are you here for another spooky story? Then come on in. Settle in now. For tonight, I have quite the tale to tell. Are you ready? Good. Then let us begin. Poltergeists. Some say they are caused by demonic entities. Others believe that such activity is caused by a troubled person in the household somehow tapping in to some strange part of the mind, effectively causing uncontrolled telekinesis during their distress. Still others say that poltergeists are merely children's stories, or a form of PR in order for the deranged to garner more attention in their otherwise lackluster lives. Me, personally, I believe there's a bit of all of that out there. And since we haven't had a good poltergeist story for a while now, let's have another one from my mother's house. So gather around and listen to Unseen Intruder. For those of you that have listened to the stories I posted back in January of this year, then you probably remember some of the strange and unexplained occurrences in my mother's house. Those of you that haven't should go check out the video coveralls and 2 videos that followed that. In the meantime, I will do a quick recap of setting so you paranormal sleuths can try to figure out what might have been causing the activity. The land we lived on had been in our family for several generations, and to my knowledge, there had been no human deaths on the property for at least the last 4. We lived in a used trailer for a little over a decade before building her house on what was once part of a hayfield. The only thing that was removed was a large tree. However, this area was also back in the mountains in an area not far from a place where there was a pre-Civil War crossroads, one minor Civil War battle, and was former Cherokee hunting grounds. While I haven't found anything besides the occasional arrowhead in the area, there was a cave used for a burial site located on the opposite side of the county this occurred in. In addition, my relatives are magnets for the strange and unusual. Even by Appalachian standards, we've had some weird crap happen to us. There have been a handful of people known in the family who have had these strangest of occurrences around them. And that, my friends, includes poltergeist activity. One of the biggest ones is my mother. I won't mince words. My mother is a troubled lady and has been for a very long time. I won't get too much into her past because there's a lot to unpack there. I'll just say that whatever she has, if she's been diagnosed, I haven't a clue. I know she was part of a rough crowd when she was younger, and while I have no idea if she got into the occult, she did attract crazy stuff like a magnet and did a lot of research. She was also the only person in the family liked by the one cousin I had that also had a bunch of this creepy poltergeist activity happen to them. Only, since she died before I got to meet her, I'm honestly not sure if she was really tapping into something in her brain, good at intimidating people into causing strange coincidental situations, or, as another dark secret in the family goes, if she really was a satanic witch. I'll get to the stories about my creepy cousin in a later video. She deserves one all to herself. So too long didn't read. No humans have died on the property in roughly 100 years, and the house's owner is a troubled human being. Now that you all have a general idea of the history of the house, know that there's been a lot of odd stuff that's happened in it. Spirits have been spotted. Things have been moved around. Nearly everyone who set foot in it more than once has heard a voice call to them, and phantom footsteps have been heard coming up the stairs and moving around in the house. At one point, we heard heavy furniture being dragged across the house, twice, only for there to be nothing there. I've gotten glimpses of 2 spirits on the property, though, honestly, I think one was following my granny and me around for a bit as the result of a family mystery/paranormal investigation. I don't always feel like there's somebody there before something happens. But when the really crazy stuff happens, like the ladder moving around on my new stepfather, there's always this sense of an emotionally charged atmosphere. The best way to describe it is I would start feeling antsy inside because I would be sensing something coming, like the calm before a storm. So, with all that being said, let's get started. This was back in 2011 or 2012. We'd all fallen into the schedule of sorts. My mother would go to work earliest, then my stepfather would leave right before it got light, or started getting light, depending on the time of year. Then I would get up and start researching creepypastas for the old channel I had. This day, they both left at the same time because their schedules synced up. I walked down right as I heard the garage door opening for them to leave so I could set the alarm, since they knew I was awake. This meant there was about 30 seconds between the garage door opening and my opening the basement door. The door between the garage part and the front of the basement was shut, and the door at the far end of the garage had so much junk parked in front of it that it couldn't be opened at the time. So I go, set the alarm, and go back upstairs. About an hour and a half later, my mother comes back home early. I see her truck and cut the alarm off from the upstairs. She comes upstairs and said she had a doctor's appointment, so she was picking something up from the house before she had to go back to work. At this point, I start doing the dishes and notice her vaguely as she goes up and down the stairs a couple of times. But, since she's not in a foul mood, I'm not really paying that much attention to her. Suddenly, I hear the patio doors downstairs open and slam shut with an incredible force. The force of the slam did make me jump, but it actually wasn't unusual to hear that noise. Those doors got stuck a lot, so sometimes you had to shove your full weight into it to get them to open. This usually meant they got slammed hard shut too, if my mother was using them. So I figured that maybe she got fed up messing with the doors and slammed them hard enough to jar the whole house. I glanced outside, wondering what my mother was up to, when I heard footsteps pounding their way across the house. Within moments, I was looking at my mother, who had apparently been in her bedroom the past few minutes. She gave me a look and said, "How did you get up here so fast?" She apparently was coming to yell at me for slamming the doors hard enough that they might break, but was stunned to see I was still washing dishes where she left me. Instantly, we both go into emergency mode and think, oh no, there's an intruder in the house. She gets to the shotgun faster than I do, so I grab the phone and a knife and get ready to call 911. After hearing her charge down the stairs, flipping on lights as she goes, I don't hear anything else. I don't hear anything for several moments, all while I'm looking around at the dogs outside. They're not acting strangely, barking or acting erratic they would have done when people had gotten too close. Shouldn't they have been going nuts if they smelled someone outside or sensed something was wrong? I creeped across the floor as carefully as I could, taking up a position not far from the door where I could either bolt across the house and out another door or bomb rush someone if they came upstairs. We lived in an area bad for break-ins, and we occasionally had drug-crazy people in the area, so I learned how to defend myself and the home at an early age. As a law enforcement officer once told my mother, better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. I crouch, waiting, as I hear footsteps coming up the stairs. I relax though, because those are my mother's footsteps. When she reaches the top step, she sets the shotgun aside and asks me if I saw anyone run upstairs or out of the house. I told her no, and that the dogs were nearby and not acting like anybody was around either. So, since she can't find anything on her own, we both head back downstairs, with me in the lead. I check absolutely everywhere. Under the stairs, in the back room, all over the garage and basement. Even in the bed and inside of her truck, in case somebody had been foolish enough to hop in with her with the thoughts of being the next Ted Bundy. But there was nothing. And the other strange parts? Number 1, the alarm didn't beep, which it always does when any door or window is open. And 2, The patio door was locked when we checked it. If someone had gone out that door and slammed it that hard, then maybe the latch would fall just a little. But you had to shove down deliberately on that little lever for it to lock the door in place, which was exactly the position it was in when we found it. We all went around the property, but there was really no way anybody could have escaped the house like that without the dogs seeing them. Even if it was somebody they knew, they'd have followed them around wanting to play. My stepfather, the biggest and strongest of us all, tried to recreate the noise in automatic locking, but to no avail. The lever barely moved, the alarm beeped every time, and it never fully locked itself. Also, there was really only a span of about 40 seconds every time the garage door opened and shut, and the doors connecting the basement and garage were closed when I checked them earlier and when my mother got home. I had also been in the kitchen the whole time, and would have heard or felt the patio doors as they opened, or the dogs barking if they had spotted anyone. My mother seemed to think that someone had been hiding under the stairs, and the thought that I might have innocently walked past them is unnerving. At the same time, why would they spend an hour and a half before making their move? With their only move being to slam a door, magically make it lock, and then teleport away without the dogs noticing them. We never found anything missing, or even slightly moved around, so the idea that someone was down there was very unlikely, despite the weird incident we heard and felt. So, either a really strong ninja broke into our house and got abducted by aliens the moment he set foot outside, or the house had yet another paranormal moment. Well, my friends, did you enjoy this story? What did you think is the cause of the strange activity in my mother's house? Do you think we had an actual intruder? Or do you believe the cause was something more supernatural? If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell too, so you can catch your latest spooky fix the moment it comes out. And check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/phantasmalpoppy. Please and thank you! Also, how do you like the new sound? That's right, I finally got my new microphone. It's a Mayono podcasting microphone. You should have seen me trying to hook the bar up to my desk. Nearly knocked myself in the head when it came loose once. I haven't used one of these since I was in college. I'm so excited. It was actually fairly cheap too, and sounds just like the videos I've listened to with the folks using the same. It's not as hard and crisp of audio as the one I was originally gonna go with, and I think I'm in love with the warmer tone of this one. It really fits my voice. Also, I can move my hands around it like I normally do when I tell a story in real life. So, who's up for some real ASMR videos, Comment below. Good night, and see you all real soon.